This is the take 3 of what I've been trying to record, because I didn't like the first one and the second one I got interrupted. So, without further ado, I'm going to explain my entire experiences with the franchise and why the third game didn't amount to it, and also really pleased me in the end as well. I had too many problems with it ultimately in the end that caused me to be disappointed and rated a 7 out of 10 versus the 9 ratings I gave the other two games. You know what I'm talking about. It's Second Son. This is my full con list on all of the things it could have improved or done correctly, like Ian's channel was talking about. Sorry, that was annoying me. That nail was just sticking up and I thought it was gay. The point is, the first Infamous game I first tried out in a local Target as we were browsing through the products at the age of, let's say, 12. When I was 12, I was with my grandparents and my mom and my sister and brother, and I don't know what their ages were or mine at the time, because I can't do math in my head right now. I'm a little bit tired. And that's always my excuse, so get over it. I had a good trial with the game, and it was a demo that I could download because I was pretty PSN advanced at the time, so I knew that, oh, this is a demo I can get because it's a demo right here. So I tried out the demo of the game, and it was amazing and fantastic. So I went home, and that weekend I browsed through the PS Store, and sure enough, I found the Infamous title as a demo. So I downloaded it and couldn't stop playing it. And then the full game was released, and I didn't get it because my dad was afraid of the drug reference in it. So I had to wait a little while before I could get it. And the way I got it and obtained the full game was through the PSN hack, and after 2 weeks of maintenance they offered games. Yes.
Whoever put stuff on the couch, pick it up and get it off the couch. Please, we're having guests.
Okay, just a minute. Go around, or go now, hurry. I'm not picking it up, I have to film this. I'm not stopping it. I hate how every time I get on the camera, I have to get interrupted every 5 freaking seconds. So, you know what, I'm not going to film it again. I'm going to start off from where I left off. So, I obtained a game after the 2-week maintenance apology as 6 different games. You could get 1 for free or 2 for free. I can't remember what the offer was, but I could get one of the games for free out of the 6 choices, and one of the choices were Infamous, the game, the first one. So, I downloaded it, I completed it a total of 7 times, and ultimately enjoyed the crap out of it. They did, close that door when you're done, everything right. And when I say everything, I mean everything. The whole plot of Infamous was basically a choice game, and all the choices had significant weight towards good or evil. Every game since then has declined in the karma aspect. Let's see how we are on time. Okay, we got 21 minutes. We are very good right now. The karma aspect is you do evil choices, you get evil reactions, or negative reactions from the people you're doing it towards, and you also get negative karma towards Infamous. If you do good actions or heroic actions with your powers, you get positive reactions and positive points. It's very simple. It also brings out the feels if they do it right. And let me just tell you, the game was awesome from the get-go. We had an awesome companion who was funny around every turn, always had the right thing to say. You know him, he's Zeke Dunbar, the actual character of the game. The one that actually brought it all together was Zeke. Ultimately, an Infamous game without Zeke is not an Infamous game, in my opinion, because Zeke is literally the thing that ties it all together. Zeke and Cole were best buddies from the get-go, and you could tell that no matter what happened in their relationship, the ups and downs, regardless, ultimately, you know, it was just the best relationship I've seen. But ultimately, in the end, or towards the end, we saw that Zeke actually did a couple of stupid things that would have got him negative points had he had powers, including trying to activate the Ray Sphere and killing 10,000 people in the process. Ultimately, Zeke in Infamous 2 was even more badass than in Infamous 1, and this is the reason why I gave Infamous a 9. Infamous, the second one, after the first one, I'm not going to cover it because I have too long of a description for the first one. The first one did so many things right. The bosses were unpredictable, challenging, and very fun, and also very frustrating to defeat. Infamous 2, the bosses were monotonous, completely predictable, frustrating on a different level, tedious, and above all else, kind of made no sense. When you try and put things that don't belong in Infamous in there, the fans will notice. Sucker Punch, you did this twice. First, you put swamp monsters in Infamous 2, which was the biggest thing that gave it, took it from 10 down to a 9. If I was giving a more accurate and not pity point kind of description of Infamous 2, I would be rating it at a 7 as well, because there were a lot of issues with it, including enemies jumping away from you as you're trying to fight them. This is a mechanic that should only be utilized once in their battle technique, and that's it. An enemy that is running away from you and shooting you from a distance non-stop so that it eliminates the whole purpose of a melee weapon is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Not only that, but you also added a new mechanic in Second Son where they can actually hit you back and send you 50 feet into the air flying backwards so that, again, you can't melee attack them more than once. So the whole melee weapon is just there for looks in Infamous Second Son. But Infamous 2, the ice soldiers were absolutely awful. They needed to be programmed better if they were going to be in there at all, and ultimately they were more annoying than they were an actually fun to beat enemy, except for the shotgunners, because I just found it fun to shoot their dead bodies over and over and over because all they do is run and shotgun you in the face. Oh, I hated those Icemen. They made me cry almost. They were so gosh darn dumb. Infamous 1 had so many different antagonists that it ultimately seemed that all of the odds were stacked ever against Cole's favor. We had the Reapers, the Ray Sphere, the Plague, the Transients, or Dustbin as I like to call them, but they are actually known as the Dustmen, Kessler, the First Sons, Sasha, Alden, and the occasional trash grab, as well as a Dirty City, Zeke betraying you, helicopters, the SWAT team, Sasha's Tar, Sasha if I didn't already mention her. Oh, and here's the best one. Not being able to get into cars or shoot guns because Cole will blow them up. There were so many antagonists in the game, you can't even count them. You can just go on and on and on. But they took out the gas station in Infamous 2. I did not find a gas station in Infamous 2. Oh, actually, no. No, the gas station was always part of it. I saw a gas station in Infamous 2. I think I did. Regardless, destroying the gas station in Infamous 1 was a highlight, and I think it was also a trophy, but if it wasn't, that's kind of sad because it should have been. Destroying that gas station was the funniest thing to do in the trial, and Second Son destroying the gas station was so unrewarding and so retarded that I thought, wow, it's almost like I did nothing at all. It was like a tiny little firecracker boom, and then the thing just stood there. Not even damaged, not even catastrophically destroyed, because in reality, if you ignite all that gas, it goes underground and just blows the whole thing up like an atomic explosion and levels an entire city block. So, pretty freaking small, wouldn't you say? Blowing up cars and not being able to throw them in this game was also kind of disappointing. But here's the second unofficial cons. It's going to be 14 minutes of this, so bear with me. The first one is the pacing, but I'm going to get to that later. The actual first one is E3 differences. When I say E3 differences, I mean that you demoed the game at E3, demoed it after E3, and then demoed it again at a different place completely. I think it was PAX, but it might not have been. And this time, it was totally different and totally disappointing. It was absolutely, gosh darn, stupid. Biggest thing we said, before the game even came out, we said, this is wrong, and it never changed. It never got fixed before it was released, and I'm very, very angry about it, and to this day, it's my biggest complaint. But there were actually seconds as another complaint. E3 had Space Needle mission different, as you had to take down a nearby DUP establishment as an official mission. So it starts off as you're climbing down from the side of the building, and you're about to run head first into the DUP establishment. You destroy all their stuff. You get rid of all their antennas and whatnot. You smoke dash backwards at one point. You destroy all this crap, and then you finish it off by finding 3 machine gun guys, and you unlock the orbital drop. You do it, and then you destroy a nearby T-Rex as well as the mobile command center nearby. After you destroy the mobile command, then you go and do this orbital drop thing. The orbital, before it though, the mobile command center has a core, a power core, and this is how it looked when Delson picked it out of the thing and punched it. He went, and then it was done. This is what it looks like after the 2 demos later at this random convention. It changed to this. Okay, that was gay. What the heck was that? That was a problem. Ian even spotted this. He's like, why did he punch like that? What the fix that! And it never got fixed. And still, it does it, and it irritates the crap out of me, because nobody bends their arm 50 feet backwards and breaks their arm in order to punch this thing like a 5-year-old girl. Give us the old punching maneuver back, and give us the old mission back too. It was better designed than the stupid climb up the Space Needle, defeat 3 guys, then suddenly find yourself in a complete war zone with limited places to go, limited smoke, and endless people attacking you when you're trying to get more. That's a perfect idea. Yay, now we're at the top of the Space Needle. Yippity-doo, yeah. That was gay and stupid and retarded, and I think... Oh my god, I keep saying gay. Frick. I'm not a homophobe, I just keep saying it for some reason. It's stupid. Sorry about that. But anyway. I don't know, I guess it's just a habit. People nowadays just say it thinking it means stupid, but it doesn't, and it even irritates me when I catch myself doing it over and over and over again. So basically the punching mechanic and the changing of things that we clearly liked and appreciated in E3, completely changing it was not okay, and we told you not to do that before the game was even, first, teased, or before we even had a teaser trailer. 2 years back when we were in speculation, we said, oh, one more thing. You changed a lot from the demo you saw where Cole actually had hair and he looked a lot different and they had sideways grind rails. The finished result was Cole was bald and they didn't have sideways grind rails, and they had 3 different ways to eliminate parkour. What was that? That was dumb. This time you have 4 new ways to eliminate parkour besides smoke. And, oh, let me tell ya. Why? Why are we eliminating the main mechanic that made this fun? It's a parkour game where you shoot electricity out your fingers. Now it's a sort of parkour game with very little maneuverability. You can't, I told you to fix this right off the bat, but here's another con. The parkour, there's a building with a sideways overhang like this, right? So Delson naturally climbs up it. This is the box, by the way. And he bumps his head and then falls all the way down to the bottom to the ground. instead of jumping sideways, grabbing onto it, and then going on the roof. He doesn't jump sideways or diagonally upwards. He bumps his head and falls down. Why? Why didn't you fix the parkour at all? As soon as I got a hold of the game, I immediately noticed that it was just press X and go forward, and he will climb for you. I told you to fix this to make it involve more buttons, have more accuracy, and ultimately not be a click and stick kind of parkour system. And Infamous 1, it was done a little okay, but it still had a lot of non-maneuverability in the air. Infamous 2 had a lot of maneuverability in the air and heavy sticking and auto-aiming to anything that you don't want. And then this game had the only highlights were the way it looked when he got like crawled up and did the sideways wall running. That was pretty cool, but I think ultimately it was a little bit disappointing, and we should have had at least more buttons being pressed at the same time as we're climbing. Another con I noticed, some people might not complain about it, but I did. There was a part in the game where you can pick things up just by pressing or touching the touchpad, whereas in order to get absorb elements, they said this at E3, you put both fingers down at the same time, and you don't push down on it so it clicks as a button. You press it very lightly and it'll pick up your fingers and have that be a function. This time around, two things happened. I had to use the finger scanner with only my pinky. It would only register my pinky as the finger scanner. It wouldn't do my thumb, it wouldn't do my fingers. It had to do my pinky. I had to do this every time I did the finger scan because none of my other fingers were working on it for some odd reason. And absorbing any element that I wanted, or any, power that I wanted, is the way I change powers. And I think it's kind of disappointing that I can't just have a reel where if I run out of one power, it automatically switches to the next, or I have a button that I can press to swap through them. You could have utilized the D-pad for that. I wanted to change my powers without having to go up and absorb it. Concrete was an unfinished power. This is another con. Concrete needed a karma bomb, an animation for stunning, an animation for executing, so that you could actually have a choice when people surrender, giving you negative karma because you can't utilize the surrender and you find nothing around to change you to smoke or anything, and you don't want to, so you're faced with just killing them and getting negative points all the time. Meaning that you didn't finish concrete, and it's annoying when people surrender and I can't do anything, so I have to walk away, and I really need those karma points, or I really want to, and it annoys me to just leave them standing there with their hands in their air like a frickin' moron. I want to be able to stun them or to execute them if that's what I want to do. But no, you didn't do an executing, a stunning, and you didn't do a karma bomb. What's with that? Utilizing a game that allows the character to take a lot of powers and then having only 4 power sets is a waste of my time. I think you needed 6 minimum and 10 maximum. Yeah, you could have put more powers in there. There were no side missions, meaning the only side missions I found, I'm saying there's no side missions because there's no all over the place missions everywhere, side missions, UGC missions. There were so many missions you could, build an entire armada with these little icons for missions. This game had Paper Trail and Cole's Legacy, and that was it. No other missions. The only other side activities to do were DUP raids that don't add up over time. I just figured that out. I thought they did, but they didn't. And they only show up in small groups that are easily defeatable, even on expert, and they're really not menacing whatsoever, or not numerous or challenging in any way. There was no conflict, meaning the city was not apocalyptic like the, let's see what we're at time, 5 minutes. The city in Second Son was not in an apocalyptic kind of design, whereas Infamous 1 and 2 mainly focused on that aspect, meaning the city was distraught and decaying and death was everywhere because of the plague, and this time it's just we need rights for conduits. It's like a freaking constant reminder of Black History Month, where these people are getting segregated because they have powers or unique abilities that people are too scared of, or, you know, this or that, and it's all Augustine's fault. There really was no conflict in the story that was meaningful whatsoever. The next thing I thought was annoying was the whole Akurin gang / drug dealers. That was the only other conflict in the game. There were no factions like the previous two games taking up my time. There were no side missions to do before you went off to the next story mission. It was strictly, go to the next mission, go to the next mission to get your next power, they encouraged you to beat the game fast. And that was the ultimate flaw. Having no pacing. This was where it came down to. The game just had so many flaws, and I have no ability to list them all down. There was no conflict, meaning once the DUP were gone, they were gone. After you did all the phone calls and stuff, that was it. That was the only other side mission opportunity, was the little phone calls that really kind of had a comedy spiel on it, but ultimately did not suffice as other missions. You couldn't do anything for the people, like there were no side missions where the people were like, go take these guys out of this area, or we need meds, give us meds, or this or that. No, they're completely fine. They couldn't be better. They're walking around the city regardless, happy or whatever. There's no difference. It's only the conduits that are getting directly affected by the DUP. The people are like, get these conduits out of here, we don't like them. And then when they get the conduits' rights, they're like, oh, we love the conduits, they're awesome, yay, until they start shooting or using any other power that sounds like gunshots. Then we start being afraid. But if he jumps up and down really high and saves people, oh, we're not afraid of that. But as soon as he starts going off with that shrapnel shot or the neon bolt or whatever, then we're going to get scared. The people could have not even been there, and it wouldn't have made a difference. I wouldn't have noticed if the people weren't even there. If it was just me and the DUP, the people weren't there, I wouldn't have noticed, honestly, because they were so invisible and so just in the background and not there or part of it in any way, shape, or form, or even effective in the story at all. They were just basically backdrops or little tiny things that you'd have to sit there and listen to hear them talk. If you ran past them, you'd hear a little or this and that. They'd make stupid OCD noises, and I thought, wow, it's like the people don't even exist because I'm running so fast, or I'm doing this, or I really can't care enough. There's no, you had so much graphics, and I beat it in one sitting. The pacing was off. There were no side missions. There was no real conflict, and ultimately the game was disappointing. That's what I thought of Infamous. I think if you were going to spend 3 years on graphics, you should have equaled it out with 3 years on a story, or at least had a plan on what you were doing instead of making it look like the game's graphic design were put in the wrong, studio and were forced to make a story, and all of the story editors were forced to make the graphic changes in the game. It's like you swapped studios so that both of them were put back and didn't know what they were doing. The story needed to be in there, and it looks like you could have split studios or had one section of the Sucker Punch Productions working on the story and one section working on graphics, and put it together and you got a game. That's amazing. Troy Baker didn't even get the script until it was almost ready to be shipped out, so really, basically, he got it late and he had very little time to execute all the acting. He did a great job for what he did do, but there was so many glitches and so many problems, and sometimes his lines would get jumbled, and we gave him an ambient voice and he didn't even utilize it. Once the game was finished, he went silent completely like Cole, and that was boring and stupid, and I just have so many complaints, and I think we've been telling you this from 4 years ago up until this point.